abushan aha air possibility VGH we a news update na dey e ba be som.
Look, some of us have gone through a very sad ordeal in the hands of Delta Airlines in the last 72 hours. That even recounting the experience makes us cringe, because it brings flashes of the inhumane treatment that we're subjected to, and the kind of anxiety, apprehension, fear that created in us. You know, as I indicated in my Facebook post, we were scheduled to leave the John F. Kennedy to Accra at 11:45 p.m. on Sunday, the 24th of July. By 10:30, counter had been closed. All passengers who desired to travel that night had checked in. We had gone through immigration and were seated at the boarding gate, I believe 39, waiting to board the plane to Accra. Now, 45 minutes to departure time, when we were expecting a call to board the aircraft, an announcement was made that the flight would be delayed for another 45 minutes, and so we're going to depart at 12:30 and no longer 11:45. No reason was given for this delay, but we all waited. It was during that period that some passengers started receiving messages on their phones that the flight has rather been rescheduled to 3:30 p.m. the next day, July 25th. So it created some anxiety among passengers, some of whom queried the crew, the Delta Airlines crew on duty, to find out whether the message was authentic. The crew initially denied knowledge of the message. They said they needed time to consult their superiors because they were not aware. So created some heated exchanges and confrontation, because people had traveled from far places with their children, with the sick. They had waited for long hours to depart to Accra, only to be told that the flight has been pushed not for 2 hours or 3 hours or 5 hours, but to 3:30 p.m. you know. So we were asked to wait for confirmation. Whilst waiting, an announcement was made, a second announcement. And in this announcement, we were told that, everything was on track. We're all set to travel to Accra. But at one of the airports, one of the pilots who was supposed to fly the plane had not reported for work on time. He was late. And so he was the only one we were waiting for. We should exercise patience. And immediately he shows up, boarding will begin. He said, we could all breathe, a sigh of relief and say, let's wait. Waited for more than 45 minutes. That was when we saw some members of the Delta crew bring in 2 uniformed cops. Immediately the uniformed cops came there. I told a friend that, look, these guys are playing games on us. They knew right from the outset that there is no way they were going to fly this plane to Accra. But fearing what the reaction of the passengers may be, they decided to lie and said that they were only waiting for a pilot and all that, and that these cops have been brought in to protect them. And so you wait, you will see the announcement they will make. Before I could finish, a third announcement was made, and the announcement was to the effect that yes, they cannot fly. For some reasons, we need to come back 3:30 p.m. the next day, and that they had made accommodation arrangements for all passengers, and so passengers should proceed to another gate, I believe gate 37 or so, for the necessary accommodation arrangements. People were crestfallen at that point, very, very disturbed. I'm talking about people who were carrying children, sick people in wheelchairs and all that. But what can you do? These things happen. So we said, okay, let's proceed to the boarding gate and see what accommodation arrangements have been made. And to our utter surprise, look, we got there. and we found out that no such accommodation arrangements had been made for the passengers. It was all a lie. No accommodation arrangements. And so the question I was asking myself was that this is not any roadside airline company. You're talking about one of the oldest and reputable airline companies in the world. Now, why would they be this unprofessional? Why would they be this dishonest, this insensitive? If for nothing at all, consider the sick, consider those in wheelchairs, consider the children. But well, we accepted it. You know, Ghanaians, very typical of us, we don't talk. So people kept saying, this cannot happen in Nigeria. If it was in Nigeria, but we all accepted it. And we're left to our own face to fend for ourselves, find our own accommodation. We returned at 3:30 p.m. the next day, went through all the boarding protocols. In fact, we were boarded on time. So, waiting for the flight to take off. It was then that another announcement was made by the pilots that due to weather conditions, we had to stay for a while. That was a legitimate call because it was raining at the time amid lightning and all that, and there was no way we were going to be giving clearance to fly that, aircraft or to take off. So we're all patient, nobody complained. About 2 hours after that, the flight was supposed to leave at 3:30, around 5:30, when we all thought that all was set. The pilot made an announcement that, look, we've been given the green light to fly, your luggage, everything are in, we are all set. So sit back, fasten your seatbelt for takeoff. And then we took off. And then everything was history. We were all okay. We were coming to Ghana. Now, over 2 hours into the flight, close to 3 hours, somewhere on the Atlantic Ocean, an announcement was made by the pilot that we were unable to proceed to Accra. And that we had to return to the JFK airport. Why? Because the aircraft has short fuel. You can imagine the kind of confusion, the trauma that announcement would have created in the aircraft. Everybody was speechless that this could happen to passengers on a reputable airline like Delta Airlines. Fuel, not weather, not technical hitches, but fuel shortage. Why? What checks did the pilots and whoever had a responsibility of ensuring that the aircraft had fuel before takeoff? What checks did they do before takeoff? With all the hours that we had to wait, they could not do those basic checks. So clearly, these were a bunch of people who had no regard for human lives and the safety of the hundreds of passengers on that aircraft, including children and the sick. What that announcement could have done to, the psyche of sick people on that plane, they did not take into cognizance all that. At that time, all we could do was to pray that whatever fuel was left in that aircraft was going to be enough, to get us to the John F. Kennedy Airport. So for close to 3 hours, we had to be praying and all that, hoping that the flight will land safely. Fortunately,
did you also pray?
I prayed a lot.
In tongues?
I prayed a lot. And fortunately, by the grace of God, we landed at JFK safely. And the rest is history. Even when we landed, the lack of respect, the lack of sensitivity, those who were in business class were called aside and say, hey, take economy tickets. A flight is going tonight and go and join them. So they were giving economy tickets. Then those who were on economy on that flight, they said, no, you have to go and find a place to sleep. We'll give you accommodation. Some were giving far places in Long Island. Give you accommodation without transport. And so if you were traveling with no money on you, some people travel and when they are coming back, they give all their cash out. They didn't care.